I see we have some arrivals there. I have somebody who is thumbnail is titled Feng and Ruvarash. Would that be right?
Hello.
Hello. How are you doing? I'm going to be making big problems with pronunciation of names that I see written down and make an attempt to say. My name is Colum. You can. I don't know.
Nice to meet you.
It's lovely to meet you too. I am the program manager for Intake 1, for both for engineering and technology, as we had in the last session, but also for science and health science. So that meant that in the intake that begins in September and have their exams in the end of May, I am in charge of usually each year, about maybe 28 or so students who are either doing science, engineering, or health science. So are you a student who may be maybe looking at joining us for the 2021 academic year in health science?
I am. So I was just looking to find out more about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that I know what I'm getting into.
Sure. Well, you're in the right place. I was supposed to have Yash here, who is the class rep for one of the two groups of the health science students in Intake 2. I don't see him materializing here. There may be a problem with the link. What I might just do is, while I'm sitting here, I might send a quick email to him just to make sure that he has the right link, because if he doesn't, it'll only be me you're speaking with. And I think it was quite useful in the last session. I had Dami here, who was from the engineering group, and it was very useful to have him here. He was able to give a lot of actual insight. I think that students like to hear from other students who have who are going through it. So just one moment, my apologies. I'll send a quick email to Yash. Open. Cool. Maybe we'll see him in a moment, maybe we won't. Do you have any particular question that you want to ask, or would you like me to address some sort of topics generally? This was just yourself, Ruvarash, if you had some. Oh, there's Yash there now. Wonderful. Hey, Yash, how's it going?
Hi.
Hi. Glad to have you. We had Dami here a minute ago. We went through the engineering. It was only a small Q&A group, but we were able to talk about some stuff, and it was pretty good. How are you doing this morning?
Yeah, I'm doing great.
Cool. Maybe you just want to introduce yourself to these guys. I said a little bit about you, but maybe I didn't quite clear it up. Maybe you'll let them know what it is you're doing.
I'm doing health science studies in DIFC. Yeah.
Yeah, intake 1 or intake 2?
I'm in intake 2.
Yeah, our intake 1 students are all finished up already, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. When will you finish?
I'll finish after 10th July.
Yeah. So, and how much teaching weeks do you have left?
I have this week is the last week.
Yeah. So next week coming, last week before we begin those exams. So you're on the last lap of the work, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what is your university choice? When you came in here in January, what were your aspirations university wise?
Well, I had two in my choices. I wanted RCSI Dublin,
Mm-hmm.
and Queen Mary. but then after some time, like the placement team, when there was the university fair,
Yep.
um, after the fair, it changed. The fair changed my mind to choose SGU because I saw more benefits and more advantages in
Yeah.
that.
That's a lot of acronyms. RCSI is the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland, and that's a Dublin-based medical school. Which Queen Mary are you talking about? In Malta?
Yeah, in Malta.
Yeah, yeah. And then the other one, SGU, you referred to, is St. George's University, and that's in Grenada, isn't it?
Grenada. Yeah,
Yeah, in the
Grenada.
Caribbean.
Mm.
So the university fair, what is the university fair? Could you explain a little bit about what that is?
So basically, it usually took place in the college where all the universities, the representatives come and they explain to you about their universities, like for example, what grade requirements you need and like how the university works, what is the structure of the what do you say, the academics,
Yeah.
and what's the campus like and everything else.
Yeah, a lot of students are asking about asking university representatives about the possibility of bursaries or grants, looking at accommodation costs, period of study, how long, how many years are involved is another big one as well, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everybody in DIFC has already taken an extra year for their education, and so it can be quite important to know whether they're heading on a 5-year path, a 6-year path, or it could be a 7-year path, isn't it? Yeah. So you made a change anyway, and SGU is where you're heading for at the moment.
Yes.
Yeah. What sort of grades do you think you'll need to get to SGU?
I need to get AAB and A in EAP,
Yeah.
especially.
And how do you feel about that confidence-wise?
Well, so far I'm confident I will get, unless as long as I don't mess up in the last TCAs.
Yes, we're all thinking, working along the same lines. So you're between yourself and the placement officers, Porrick and Tiago, and your tutor, that would be Emer as your tutor. You've come a long way on the path of, establishing what it is you want, and then making sure that your academic grades are along with that, and that all of the necessary steps have been done in the placement process. So everything's looking good, and fingers crossed, we'll have you heading exactly there in a couple of months. What about the online teaching that's been going on? How many weeks were you in the normal face-to-face classroom before we had this closure?
Well, I think from Jan to which was like about 2 months or something.
Yeah, it
So
would have
probably
been, I think, about the 12th or around about the 12th is when we closed of March. And then I think
Yeah.
the 16th, Monday the 16th, we picked up online classes. So it was a sudden change, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't easy, like the
Yeah.
sudden transition into the online classing,
Yeah.
but eventually all the teachers and the staff helped us like get used to and like constantly helping us with our studies,
Yeah,
etc.
because I know.
So that it wasn't that bad after like later on.
Yeah, because I know that for you personally, it wasn't particularly easy. I know that
Yeah.
some students have got greater or lesser challenges with the transition, but for you, I think it was pretty severe, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can
because
you tell us a little bit about how you overcame that?
yeah, well, at the beginning there was internet connection issues,
Hmm.
so like I kept emailing the teachers back and forth, like what I missed in the class, and they helped me as well. Um, and yeah, I think eventually you get used to it. Like first, yes, you won't feel like that comfortable, but then when the teachers and your friends start helping you, you start get used to it, and then you get your interest back into the learning.
Yeah, yeah. So you're on a pretty even keel with that now.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, cool. This is good. So I was gonna ask a couple more things about that, but what I wanted to make sure that those who are here in the room with us, if you guys have any questions, please do. You can jump in right there now by turn on your microphone and say, "Sure, I have a question," or if you want to type a question into the chat, it will show up. You can send it to everybody, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have there. Maybe think about some question you have to ask. and you can put it into the chat, or you can shout it out to me now, because otherwise myself and Yash will keep dealing with questions, and suddenly all of our time will be gone, isn't it? Yeah. So what subjects are you studying now, Yash? How many subjects? What are they?
So I'm doing math, um, chemistry, biology, and EAP.
Yeah. And of those, do you have a favorite subject, or do you have one that you found that was the most challenging?
Well, math has always been challenging for me.
Okay.
And my favorite one is biology, of course.
Oh, well, there you have to say that, don't you? You have to say that. This is because, as well as program manager, my teaching role is as the biology teacher for DIFC. So you'll see me in another 5 minutes. I'll be moving over, and I'll do a little bit of genetics in a biology classroom for people to look at. Yes. So what about the actual teaching content in the online classes? How is that? Is it different between the different teachers you have? I mean, I know what I do, but what do the others do in comparison?
I mean, we of course go through the notes, and then if there's calculations, for example, in chemistry and math, we look up to different questions from calculations. And yeah, mostly it's from notes, and then as soon as you get towards exams and tests, the teachers help you with the um, past papers and like past exam questions.
Okay. And what about assessments in the online period? How has that been? You know, formative assessment to help you along in your development, and the idea of summative assessment for your grade. How has that been?
Well, formative, like, um,
Because you've had a number of mock tests. There would be
yeah,
some Moodle tests, these kind of things.
yeah.
Like,
Well, they weren't bad. I mean, depends. Especially the semester one exam was, for me personally, was hard for me because I don't know, I had internet issues and technical issues. But then other than that, the Moodle quiz and everything else, those were like, if you have revised and if you have paid attention in the class, it's pretty easy.
excellent. Well, this what you want, yeah, is a task that is still difficult to do, but it is manageable and not beyond you. Obviously, connections, technological issues can be a real thorn if you can't get them resolved. But it's good for you that you have those things already sorted.
Mhm.
The other thing that I wanted to ask was about the what are the hours like then each week? How much time do you spend in your online learning each week?
I think about 5 to 6 hours.
Yeah.
Say,
Um,
with a break, of course.
Yeah. The break is an important thing. I know myself that if I spend a long time in front of the computer in online classes, it can really kind of mess with you. You need to
Yeah.
get up and take a break and move about the place. So our normal period would be 50 minutes in the hour. There would usually be 10 minutes in every hour. So if it was a 1 hour class, we try to make sure that there's 10 minutes break between 1 hour class and another, or for a double class that there would be 20 minutes after the teaching content for before the next one. Yes. I don't have any questions from the room. If there were any further, I'd be delighted to get to them, because I'm just aware that in another couple of minutes I will be making my way away to class. One thing that I did want to ask about, or maybe people would be interested in hearing about, would be academic supports for students, or if students are struggling, what sort of supports are there. So we talked a little bit about the tutorials that Emer has designed for us each week, and those tutorials, having somebody as your tutor can be a good support. I don't know, has the tutorial system, do you think, been effective for you, Yash?
Yeah, it has been, because sometimes you're not really sure what's going on, and then you
Yeah.
can just ask the tutor.
Yeah. And what about other student support staff? Have you had much dealings with Sharon in accommodation or Sylvia?
Not really, because I have my own apartment here. So
Very good. It's a good
yeah.
situation to be in when you don't have to worry about that. Yeah, but for the majority of our students, help with accommodation issues is one of the biggest boons to having the accommodation staff. But there'll be a session about accommodation supports. Yeah. Okay. We've got somebody arriving in. Okay. Yes. For students who are struggling, it can happen that students who arrive in with suitable entry qualifications, with enough of an English language level, it can still happen that students are not performing to their potential. I know that every year we do get some students who can be distracted. They can, the change from moving from their old high school environment to their new location in Dublin can be a traumatic change, and there are a lot of supports. In the same way, the supports that were in place in terms of contact with a tutor, with student services, with a teacher in each subject, and with the program manager, those supports are still in place for people who have migrated onto an online learning platform. So what I'd be keen to get across is that while students are on their own in their home country, they still, I hope you would agree with this, Yash, can still feel supported, that there are people that are aware of them or would be checking on them and are kind of, yeah, do you know what I mean? Supporting them?
Yeah. I mean, in the group tutorials, you always ask us about like what happened this week, like how was your week, and that kind of thing. So, which makes us feel like, it's like someone's there to help you if anything happens.
Yeah, this is what we strive for. So if there are no questions coming from the room, then I'm going to wrap this up. Hey.